Hello and welcome to the Irn-Cru, an American football podcast made in Scotland by NFL lovers. Before we get started tonight, make sure you're following us on all our social media. Everywhere you get a podcast, so your Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everywhere else you can get a podcast, you will find the Irn-Cru. You'll find us on all the social medias as well. Today we are recording this on World Mental Health Day. The crew would like to offer our support to anyone out there who's struggling with mental health at the moment. It is okay to not be okay. If you are struggling, please speak to someone. If you think someone you know is struggling, just ask them. A conversation goes a long way to fighting this battle. The Crew Instagram account has been pushing out support contact details all day for anyone that does need any help. If you're unable to see the contact details on our Instagram account, just get in contact with us and we'll be happy to push them out to you. It is a battle that everyone across the world is fighting, and we just want to do our bit to support everybody. This is the preview crew. NFL Week 6 is just around the corner, so we've got a lot of games and a lot of chat to get into tonight. So joining me tonight is one of the finest crew members and a special guest. Fresh from watching King Henry trample all over the Bengals last week, it's a very own Ratbird. Mikey, how are you?
Hi, thanks for having me again. I'm superb this week because the thriller in Cincinnati, we came out on top. Tucker got his mojo back and everything is good in the world. So, yeah.
Excellent. Glad to hear it. And we have a returning guest all the way from Duval County via Glasgow. It's Sarah. How are you, Sarah?
Yeah, thanks. Excited to be here. Thanks for having me again. I'm feeling much more positive as a Jags fan after last week, which is always a good start. And we'll just see how the rest of it goes. But
I was going to say, let's just not get too afraid of yourself here.
Let's wait with Caleb, and then we can talk after. We can talk next week.
Excellent. Before we get into the games tonight, a couple of announcements for the crew to make. So the crew are holding our first ever live event at the end of the month. Our Red Zone Watch Along is happening at the Committee Rooms Glasgow, Committee Rooms number 9 in Glasgow. It's going to be a very relaxed social event where we can come together, meet, chat some ball, watch NFL and have a few pints together, or soft drinks if you're that way inclined. As on Sunday, 27th of October, starts at 4 p.m. It is the day the clocks go back, so Red Zone is starting an hour early, so it's a 5 p.m. start for Red Zone. So we'll be there from 4. It is a free event as well, so we just want to encourage as many people to come along and watch the games with us and chat. To order your tickets, if you check out our social media accounts, we've pushed out the links on there. We'd love to see as many of you along there as possible and get to know everybody and chat with everybody. So that is our first announcement of the night. The second one is that this Sunday, the Scotland Ireland teams are playing Team North at Meggetland in Edinburgh, and myself and Gav have been invited along to commentate on the game. So it's a new project for us. We'll be doing the PA announcement, and it's not as simple as what we're expecting it to be. There's a lot more involved than just calling what the play is and stuff like that. So a lot of excitement, a new project for us as a crew. It's something me and Gav really enjoying the idea of doing. So come along. Tickets are free. It's a 2 p.m. kickoff at Meggetland. Gates open at 12. So get yourself along and support the national team. And there might be some talent to watch out for in the future towards the NFL Academy. A bit like Jude Colvin recently did. He's recently moved to an NFL Academy from Scotland. So stars of the future could be playing in front of your eyes on Sunday. So get along and support us and come say hello to myself and Gav if you're there. Right, guys, let's actually get into the games. So we've got 14 games to cover tonight. So obviously the bye weeks have all started. So let's get into it straight away with Thursday night football. All right, so tonight we have the 49ers, who are currently 2-3, against the Seahawks, are 3-2. So big NFC West clash, as we mentioned before we came on air, folks. There is a lot of divisional games tonight. So the Niners are still struggling with injuries. Hufanga went on IR. He's the latest player. The Hawks have beaten the Broncos, the Pats, and a shell of a Dolphins offense. So they've not really faced much of a hard challenge yet. Mikey, how do you see this one going?
It's a tough one, right? Because I see it's the kind of race to the top of the NFC West. Who's going to win? Like you said, the Hawks started, new head coach, stole our Mike McDonald. They had a slightly easy schedule to ease them in. But they've kind of, with both of them coming off losses, really, I think for the Seahawks, you've got the Giants got 7 sacks on them. Yeah. That's pretty bad. So their schedule flipping to be more difficult has got to be a challenge for them. But the thing with the 49ers, which is interesting, is they blew another double-digit lead. So Kyle Shanahan's getting that accusation of double-digit leads. What's happening?
Yeah.
And they're losing the turnover battle. So it's going to be one of them. It's two defenses that I'm quite looking forward to watching. I probably am going to stay up and watch this tonight for my sins. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The only thing I would say is the road. 49ers been on the road, being the favourites. I probably see them coming out on top on it.
Yeah. As Mikey said, they're saying so the Seahawks are going into a run now. We've got the 49ers, the Falcons, and then the Bills. So 3 really tough games. As I mentioned, they've not really had much of a challenge yet. They're really about to find out what these Seahawks are really about with the next 3 games, aren't they?
Yeah, I totally think so. I think a lot of people forget the Seahawks are actually quite good, and then all of a sudden they just start performing well, and everybody goes, "Oh my God, yeah, they're amazing." I think, and I don't like to say this, it's really, really early, but I think in terms of morale and just in general for the 49ers, this is a must win for them. I think they have to win to again try and get that kind of upper leg in the NFC. And they always want to be the top, they always are pushing for the top. And I think if they don't win this week, this could be a bit of a what do we do now situation. Like we're talking about, there's just injuries galore. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
Christian McCaffrey is running about doing nothing, obviously, because he's so injured. Who knows if he'll come back? But yeah, no, I maybe see the Seahawks winning this just because I think they've just got that momentum from that nice kind of easy in they've had obviously the start of the season. But yeah, I think this will be actually quite a good game. This might be one of the best games of the week, personally.
Yeah. As you said, the morale losing last week to the Cardinals was a bit of a surprise, to be fair, for the 49ers. Very similar to Seahawks. Their next 3 games after, so they've got the Seahawks tonight, obviously, but then they've got the Chiefs, the Cowboys, the Bucks, and then Seattle again. And their schedule, like, in fact, the next 6 or 7 games for the 49ers are really, really tough. And then it obviously eases off a wee bit, but it doesn't really. So the 49ers are going to struggle for, if they don't get a win under the belt this week, Mikey, and start getting a bit of momentum, they're going to start being questions asked of, are the Avengers actually immortal?
Well, everybody says that teams' windows seem to shut, and 49ers have had a good run. They lose this week, they go to 2-4, and the Seahawks go to 4-2. That and the division kind of thing, that's a big swing. I think injuries have done this, the 49ers harsh this year, because they're still top to bottom are a pretty good organisation. Throughout the league, there's teams that are under punching of what they should be doing, and 49ers for me are one of them. The Seahawks, yeah, they're riding it. But what I would say about the Seahawks, there was a play last week where their wide receiver baked out 2 defenders and pretended he was got a catch whilst the running back came down. It was just, there's a lot of trickery and deception in the Seahawks team, so it's serving them well.
Yeah. I mean, as we said, like I'm just now, so the Cardinals have got the Packers this week, so we'll not go too deep into that yet. But if the 49ers were to lose and the Cardinals were to win, the Cardinals would go to 3-3 and the 49ers would be 2-4 as well. They'll suddenly find themselves a game back on second place, never mind first place in their own division, never mind the NFC. So I'm probably tend to agree with you. Yeah. I think this is probably a must win for the 49ers if they to show. The thing is, we always know teams, when things get tough and you've got injuries, if you really want to win championships, you need to grind out these results. And last week and this week are 2 results that the 49ers, if they think they've got any chance of going to the big dance, they need to win. And they didn't win last week. So this week is going to be, I mean, something to say, Mike, I might stay and watch this tonight. I maybe watch the first half and catch up the rest tomorrow. But it has got the.
I think that's what I'll do.
Yeah, I think it's
it is at half time.
I'll be in my bed.
I know. Bye. See you later. No.
It has got all the ingredients to be a very good game, though. Like you said, I think the Seahawks maybe, even by myself, a bit underestimated. But I think the problem with Seahawks is the inconsistency. When the Seahawks are good, they're good. When they're not, they're not. There's no middle ground with the Seahawks, and I think that's the problem. So Mikey, you going Niners? Yep. Sarah, you've went.
I'm leading just to the Niners. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sitting on the fence here. I'm struggling with this one. I'm going to go Niners. I think Niners might just get it because it sounds like that. They, like you said, they need to win. And I think that'll be enough. They've got enough talent there to beat the Seahawks. They just need to all turn up. And that's potentially what the issue has been, is they've not been turning up. So, excellent. Next, we have London game number 2 of the season. So, the 1-4 Jags. Sorry, I say the 1-4 Jags against the 3-2 Bears. Sarah, I'm not even going to set this one up. I'm just going to give you the floor.
Okay, perfect. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. I won't go on my Press Taylor rant. It's okay. Don't worry about it. It's such a difficult one to value. Like, I get it. We always have that. We're London's team. We tend to perform really well in London. Everybody, I remember for the first couple of weeks when we were continued to go on our losing streak, not won a game since December last year. Everybody was like, "Oh, wait till they get to London because they'll perform well in London, they'll do well in London," but you just don't know, because you don't know who's coming over. You don't know if is half of Chicago coming over and then half of Boston coming over. And like, nobody from Jacksonville wants to come over, because I understand why, because they get so annoyed. But I think last week was a bit of an eye-opener, thinking to what they can do. And when they're given the opportunity, they'll take it and they'll run with it. The defense is appalling. I won't lie, the defense is shocking. Obviously, we have Tyson Campbell back this week, we think, which will obviously, I think, help. But at the same time, on the flip side of that, with the Bears, like, Caleb Williams is finally, I think, now stepping into that rhythm and looking like the quarterback that we were all told he was going to be when he was coming up. But then on the flip side of that, for the Bears, they don't have Brisker this week. Brisker's out on injury, so I don't know what their defense is going to be like. I think if our offense can keep moving, I think we'll do really, really well, and it should hopefully be a win. But I ain't counting my chickens before they hatch. Not by a long shot.
Mikey, what's your thoughts on this one?
I think Jags with the London comfort, it's definitely a mentality thing. Weird, because I think Jags are technically the away team this weekend, are they not?
We're away this weekend and then home next weekend. So yeah.
Yeah, because my friend who's a Jags fan's like, "Oh, we play better at Wembley than we do Spurs," and so I don't know. I think Chicago, as Sarah said, have came on a decent wee run. They're finding their feet. I don't think it'll be overly exciting, but I'd be happily proved wrong if it is. So, but yeah, I think Chicago might edge it.
So, something I read today that, Sarah, you can tell me whether you think this will have an impact or not. So, the Bears arrived in London on Tuesday. The Jags were meant to leave today, and it's obviously been delayed because of the hurricane. They're now not arriving until potentially tomorrow morning now. So, do you think that'll have a bearing on it? Obviously, the Bears have came across to used to the time difference. The Jags are probably used to it coming back forward so much, but do you think arriving 2 days before the game will have much of an impact as opposed to arriving 5 days before the game?
Well, I don't know, because it's not that bad of a jump, I guess. It will be a 9-hour flight if they push it. Well, I mean, if they're catching the wind tail, obviously, off of, it might get in there a little bit faster. So they might land a bit better. But I mean, I actually think they'll be okay. I think because they go all the time, because we don't have a lot of like brand new players. I think maybe Davis might find it a bit odd. A couple of the rookies might find it a bit odd. But I think the core of the team should be fine. I know there was a lot of talk about that last year when we played the first 2 back-to-backs. Everyone was like, "Oh, they're at advantage because they'll be there already." So maybe it will affect them. Maybe it won't affect them. They can sleep on Monday.
I suppose one of the things that teams tend to do across is I've heard some of the teams in the past try to stay on the American time zone when they come. So maybe that's something the Jags will do with not arriving so late. If they keep themselves on the American time zone, then it's obviously a lot of logistics in terms of doing that, but that could potentially sort that one. So, Mikey, you're going Bears, did you say?
Yeah.
Sarah, is it even worth asking you?
I'll go Jags, of course.
I'm going to go Bears as well. The Jags are just, I don't know what's going on with you guys this season. Just something's just not clicking right. Whatever it is,
Press Taylor. It's Press Taylor. It's always Press Taylor's fault.
It's fine. Yeah, I think there's something, let's say, you're struggling with something this season and it's just not clicking for you. You said Caleb Williams is starting to get his groove. So I expect that to continue going into this weekend. Unfortunately, Sarah, I apologise.
Okay. We can talk about the Patriots next week. That'll be fine.
Yes.
We'll see how this week goes. Then when we get back on next week, to have a rant or a celebration.
Exactly. Perfect.
Right, from one person's team to another. Next, we've got the 4-1 Commanders at the 3-2 Ravens. So Jane Daniels is the real deal, and the Commanders do look legit. Mikey, your Ravens are inconsistent, but what's your kind of take on this one?
So, a few things to wrap up with this. The whole Jaden Daniels, Lamar comparisons and all that sort of thing. What I would say is, when you look at the 4-1 Commanders and who they've played and the form they've played, it's been a little bit under par. And the Ravens, the first couple of weeks were, I've said this on a previous one, they were 2 toes away from winning their first 2 games. And then they've won 3 in a row because they've basically found their running. Last week, they proved a lot of doubters about being able to do the shootout and be down double digits and come back. They've done it 3 times. The big thing I would say that's going to be key on this is Ravens' defense has struggled big style, which is understandable because Zach Orr's new coordinator. But equally, there's a flip side stat out here that Mike McDonald, who had the #1 defense and all that when he was at the Ravens, his first 5 weeks as a Ravens DC is basically identical to Zach Orr's first 5 weeks. So there is hope there. Don't worry. But what I would say is
the next Seahawks
Jaden Daniels is most of his throw. Well, maybe. But Jaden Daniels throws a lot of outside the numbers, and that's where the Ravens struggle. So we do have some people coming back, and it might be too quick for them. So I don't know. They're going to need to figure out what they're doing in that secondary. But there is a mad stat out there that the Ravens are 22-7 under John Harbaugh against rookies, home and away.
Wow.
And they are 15-2 at home against rookies. Now, when CJ Stroud came last year, they sacked him 5 times. So I think Jaden Daniels will see a lot of pressure that he's maybe not seen so far, and it'll be how he handles it. And ultimately, that's probably going to decide the game. But I know a lot of the networks will try to flex it and switch it, but Sky and all the guys have kept it. So for all the people that are Ravens fans who subscribe to DAZN, well, the game's on Sky again this week, so it's been a waste of time. So,
I mean, you mentioned that the comparisons with Jaden Daniels and Lamar Jackson. I don't know if you've seen this quote from today, but Jaden Daniels, he was asked about it and he came out and said, I don't want to be the next somebody else. I want to be the first me. It was kind of what he said, which I thought was a very grown-up statement for a very rookie quarterback to make. Sarah, what's your thoughts on Jaden Daniels so far this season?
I've been pleasantly surprised by Jaden Daniels. I think I just sort of had the Commanders as, again, another, okay, we'll put in Jaden in, we'll see how he does, kind of like what a couple of other teams are doing, or we'll switch him out a bit kind of more often. But I think he genuinely, well, currently, I mean, even not disputing anybody else, but I do think he is currently the best rookie quarterback of the class of 2024. I get why people are saying that they can see the comparisons, but that is what those quarterbacks are moving towards. Like Lamar has really kind of set the tone for what these quarterbacks are up and coming and doing, and it is more about moving, and it is a bit more free, and it is creating plays when there was no play to be had. But I do agree with what Mikey was saying there about how I think that defensive line coming towards him is going to be a bit of a shock. And I think that we will see that pressure in the pocket. We may see some more mistakes that we've not seen from him. And yeah, I would have the Ravens tip to win this week, personally.
I mean, I've said it on previous pods that obviously being a Cowboys fan and Dan Quinn, the job either of us, he's went over there and done a ridiculous job with him. And both the lines, he's improved them massively by stealing all the Cowboys that he took with him. So he is trying to build that offensive line, and not the same, but the same idea that the Cowboys had when he was there. He was DC, but he also knows how it works on both sides of the ball. But he knows the importance of having a really good offensive line. So, like you said, Daniels is going to need that protection this week. So it's going to be a good matchup. I mean, this is the one. If Derrick Henry turns up, then we know what's going to happen with the Ravens. But he's also been turning up so far this season. Ravens have got, I think, over 1,300 rushing yards already this season, which is just stupid after 5 games. Sorry. So, yeah, I mean, I think the Ravens should win. But like you said, Mikey, if Jane Daniels can get into that rhythm of getting the passes outside the numbers and starts to find a bit of, if the protection can come there, then the Ravens D might struggle against this Commanders. Just purely because they're an NFC East rival, I can't back them, so I'm going to go with the Ravens. But it wouldn't surprise me if the Commanders pulled that one off. It is a tight game. It is going to be a really interesting one to watch. And like you said, Mike, it's good to have it as a Sky game, so we can all kind of watch it live in the UK as well without having to jump back forwards with Red Zone on it as well. So excellent. Okay. Next, a team we've kind of mentioned already. We've got the 2 and 3 Cardinals. Sorry, go, Mike. Where you go? There you go.
I was just about to say, it would set the tone for Washington in their division if they went and won and it was 5-1, and then the Ravens are obviously back to 3 and 3 and in the AFC North. But it's one of them that it's kind of a base game. I think it'll be good, but yeah, I think the Ravens will edge it, obviously, on my side. So,
as I was going to say, next we've got the 2 and 3 Cardinals at the 3 and 2 Packers. So obviously, we mentioned the Cardinals just a wee bit a minute ago when we were talking about the 49ers last week. So they got a good win last week. Packers just kind of going along nicely at the moment. Not really kind of jumping out at anybody, but they're doing what they need to do in the games that they've played so far. Obviously, Jordan Love's back in for them. Couple of decent ones. They beat the Colts, which was probably a good win for them. But that was when Anthony Richardson got injured. I'm pretty sure it was that game he got injured as well. So, I think it's going to be an interesting one. Kyler Murray starting to show what people thought he could do. And I think having that, I mean, I'm not saying he had obviously wide receivers before, but he had obviously D-Hop and stuff like that. But he's now got a legitimate threat in Marvin Harrison, and he's kind of, so the chemistry they've built up very quickly seems to work. He's also got Trey McBride there as well, obviously at tight end, who is more a wide receiver than a tight end. So it's good to see. And Greg Dulcich as well seems to have shown up this season. So but he started to get weapons on that side of the ball. That he started showing up and being able to do what he can do. And obviously he's got the threat on the ground as well. So the Cardinals obviously struggled for so long. They've maybe turned the corner now. They've got the pieces in place that they need on that side of the ball. So a couple of wins away from, let's say, if they win this week, they go clear of the 49ers, which would anybody have predicted that at this time of the season that the Cardinals would be 3-3 and the 49ers could be 2-4? I don't think that would have been the case. I mean, obviously they beat the Rams and they beat the 49ers, so the Rams are, I don't know what's happening with the Rams this year, kind of off at the pace, but the 3 games that they have lost, they've lost to the Bills, they've lost to the Lions, and they've lost to Washington. So the 3 losses they've got, probably they weren't expected to win those games anyway, so they're maybe not in a bad position at the start of the season. Sarah, what's your thoughts on the Cardinals so far this season?
I really like the Cardinals. I really like Kyler Murray. I think, just like you were saying there, Dan, about how he's actually now finally got weapons like to use. He doesn't have to just keep running around. That's why he got injured so many times, was because he was having to keep the ball himself and then run it. So then obviously he was getting hits that he wasn't used to. It was all these things. So it's nice to finally have it a bit more kind of put together and a bit more of a show. So I'm pleasantly surprised again by the Cardinals. It's a very, very weird season just in general. Like nothing is making sense. Nothing is working out how anybody thought at the start, maybe apart from the Chiefs, but fine, whatever. So yeah, I really rate the Cardinals this year. I think they are a bit of a sleeper team. I just don't think people were expecting it. And you know, Kyler's always good for fantasy points if you have Kyler. Just saying. I don't have Kyler, but you know.
Mikey, the Packers, obviously, I say they're 3-2 at the moment. Kind of just bubbling along nicely in that NFC North. Nothing really standing out yet, but we know they've got the weapons on offense if they can keep them all fit and not suspend them. But what's your thoughts on the Packers so far this season?
I think they are just a fraction away from being able to click. And I think once they click, they're decent. Injuries haven't helped. Christian Watson and some of them have is normally balling out, and Jordan Love's obviously had a little bit of a rough time so far. So I think they will come. This is probably a game they win purely because they're at home. And I think the Cardinals maybe give them a good run in it. But yeah, it's a tight game.
Yeah. That's one of the things we'd say for a year now that the Packers are building this very young offense. Christian Watson, is he going to be one of those players that just is constantly injured and never kind of lives up to his the talent that he's got? Hopefully not, but somebody that kind of stepped up last week, it was Tucker Kraft as well at tight end. He had a massive game last week for them as well. So both teams have got kind of weapons on young offenses with a lot of weapons. So this game could end up being a bit of a shootout, which would be good to see. I am probably going to side with you, Mikey, and think the Packers are at home. They will potentially win this. But again, it's another one of those games that I wouldn't be surprised no matter what way it goes. What about yourself, Sarah? We're just seeing
one going. I mean earlier, and it was tough.
Sorry, Mikey. So that's delay. I can't work out whether you're talking or not talking.
I know.
Tell you what I'll do, Mikey. If I'm talking to you, I'll make sure I say your name. So
say this.
Hey, Sarah. Where's this one going?
Just to be different, I'll put my hat in the ring for Cardinals to win. I do get the Packers at home in that stadium, and those fans just do something else to, I think, lift them up. But I think it could be a shootout. I generally think this could get won by a field goal right down to the wire. It wouldn't surprise me at all. But I'll go for the Cardinals in spirit, I guess.
Okay. Excellent. So we'll move on to next. We've got the 4-1 Texans at the 1-4 Patriots. So big news this week that the Patriots have named Drake May as their QB1 going into this weekend. Question is going to be, is that O-line going to give them enough protection? I read the stats earlier on. They've given up 17 sacks already this season to Jacoby Brissett. So it's a big risk putting Drake May behind that offensive line. 11 of those sacks came in 2 games as well, with 6 sacks in one game and 5 in another. The Texans have lost Nico Collins to the IR, his hamstring injury, so he's out for a few weeks. The Patriots, right or wrong to start Drake May, Sarah?
Wrong. Wrong.
They
are throwing that poor boy to the wolves. I'm sorry. They are totally. I understand. Maybe we're trying to see talent. We're trying to see if something can happen with it. But I just don't think the Texans are the game to do it on. I just think that defense is absolutely wild. That offense is absolutely wild. Like CJ Stroud is. Who would have thought that would have happened? I just don't see why they've chosen to do it now. And I will pray for that boy on Sunday that he survives.
Yeah, I mean, it is a strange game to pick to play. I mean, you've got a defense. So let me just get the stats. I mean, no offense to this one, all right, but you're playing the Jags next week. If you're starting a rookie quarterback, you want to start him against a team that is maybe 4-2, 2-4, or 1-5. I mean, so why rush him in for this week? I don't understand it. Let him sit for one more week. It's not going to do him any harm sitting for one more week. You're going up against one of the best offenses, one of the best defenses in the league with DeMeco Ryans leading that team. It seems a bit crazy. Mikey, what's your thoughts?
Well, what I would say is if he comes out balling and beats them, then we'll all be talking about the Drake May show. Yeah. So, and I think it's a bit mad putting them against the Texans, especially because we've seen. Actually, think on a couple of these we've talked about rookie QBs coming in, going in too early, and taking time and all that, and being strategic about the games they're going to play is critical on a lot of these rookie QBs. we'll talk about a couple more as well, but this is kind of a decision for them rather than more being forced, which I think it's a little bit rash. But then the Patriots have been a bit of a drifting ship for a couple of seasons now, so I'm not sure what the thought process is, but I can only see the Texans extending their 4-1 to 5-1 here.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, like, okay, they may be watching Drake May in practice and think, right, you're ready. You as your talent, your quarterback, you know the playbook, your chemistry with the players, you're ready. The problem's not him; it's the offensive line. I mean, you can put anybody behind that offensive line and they're going to struggle. So I just think it's crazy. I just don't understand it. Like you said, Mikey, they might come out, they might ball, and they might prove us all wrong, but I just can't see that offensive line giving them the protection that he needs. So Mikey, you're going Texans 5-1. I'm going Texans 5-1. Sarah,
I'm going Texans. I think this will be a good game for them in general. They'll continue obviously pushing forward. I think the next couple of games might be more of a struggle for them, especially because Nico's gone, Mixon's still out. Because obviously they've got the Packers next week, and then they go to the Lions in November, and I think that's where you might start to see something go maybe a bit wrong for them. But they're totally fine for now. They wouldn't even be worried.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. When Nico Collins stepping up, they've got that many wide receivers and tight ends anyway. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
I mean, it doesn't matter.
There's Diggs. It's fine.
Exactly. Stefan Diggs showed up last week. So I mean, it's like, all right, Nico Collins down, Stefan Diggs steps up.
It might actually be the thing for Diggs though, with Nico Collins going out, because everybody was. Whilst I still think Diggs has been contributing massively to them, Nico was obviously their star. I think you might see Diggs flip into that, and then a couple of I can't remember the name of the guy who stepped up when Collins went off last week, but they do have a core there that's pretty decent.
Yeah. I mean, you get Xavier Hutchinson was another player, so they just conveyor belt of wide receivers. It just seem to one goes down and somebody else steps up. This is never ending. I mean, I think, as we said, the Texans should be too strong. They have got their own injury problems, but like you say, they've got players that can step up. So if Mixon's out, if it Cam Akers to step in, he's not as good as Mixon, but I can't speak. Well, I'll just keep going from an able deputy to step up into that position as well. So, yeah, I mean, Texans, even if it wasn't Drake May playing this week, I still think the Texans would be far too strong for the Patriots this week as well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's continue on. Another divisional matchup, as we mentioned, there's quite a few divisional matchups this week. So we're moving to the NFC South, the next one. So we've got 3-2 Bucks at the 2-3 Saints. So the Bucks' wins this season have been big wins. They beat the Commanders, the Lions, and the Eagles. So three. It's not just easy wins. They've got 3 tough wins. Saints got a couple of decent starts. They absolutely trounced us. Alvin Kamara absolutely trounced us. Then they've nosedived. They've obviously now lost to Carty injury. Spencer Rattler's getting his chance at QB for the Saints. Mikey, what's going to happen in this one, do you think?
So the last game was a great segue into this one because they've been forced to start their rookie QB. The only thing I would say is a Todd Bowles defense, the O-line, and I'm like, it's maybe just, I don't know if this is a good thing for Spencer Rattler, but we'll see. I think the Bucks have had a longer rest with playing Thursday night last week, and obviously they've got it. It's probably good for the Bucks. It's his second away game in a row, so I don't know. I can see a little bit of the Bucks putting pressure on him, and just coming. Baker Mayfield has been kind of slinging it, and when you have Mike Evans and you've got some of the weapons that he's got, they've been pretty good, proving that you rookie QBs can move elsewhere and come good, kind of thing. So, but I think the Bucks stretch there 3-2 to 4-2 on this one. Yeah,
I mean, we've said on this, quarterbacks just need a home, and Baker's definitely found a home in Tampa Bay. Just looking at the reports coming out, this Alvin Kamara was questionable, but it does look like he's at training today, so that'll be a big boost for Spencer Rattler having Alvin Kamara beside him, and Jamal Williams is a decent enough running back. But if you're a rookie quarterback in this game, you want your elite wide receiver standing beside you. You don't want anybody else. Raheed Shaheed seems to be, don't know whether he's going to play or not, but he's got a couple of decent weapons there, Spencer Rattler, to get in his first game, isn't it, Sarah?
I think so. I was really shocked. So I was in New Orleans for the first game. I didn't go to the game, but I was there in the atmosphere, and watching it all happen. Obviously, they were absolutely buzzing to have a win. I was like, it's against the Panthers, which comes in. No offense, but I think that they're just a bit kind of out of luck, I guess, in terms of that they're going to have to put the rookie in and just kind of hope for the best. I think the Bucks might just steamroll them, to be honest. The Bucks have obviously got the advantage because they've already gone to New Orleans, because obviously they left to get out of the hurricane. So they're kind of chilling already rather than going there obviously Saturday night and Sunday morning. So I think the Bucks have again surprised everybody, just like we were talking about there. I think Baker Mayfield has really found a home and is settled in and happy, and Mike Evans just always seems to be open. So, and I just don't see the Saints covering it, to be honest. So
yeah, I mean, obviously the Saints used to have can't guard Mike, but now can't guard Mike Evans going into New Orleans. So yeah, I mean, that's something that had been mentioned, was it there was talk of Michael Thomas going back to the Saints because they were struggling at wide receiver, but doesn't seem to have picked up any momentum after the initial rumours that was going on. So I mean, he's got a couple of weapons there, but Chris Olave he had a good game last week, but doesn't really have that elite wide receiver or even a tight end that's experienced for a rookie. You want a player that's a kind of a lot of experience for your first game, and he doesn't really have that. But I mean, like you said, he's been forced into this game. So many times you've seen rookie quarterbacks come into games where they maybe weren't potentially ready, but they've been forced in and they've stepped up. So it's going to be interesting one to see. I'm going to agree with you guys on this one. I just think the Bucks will have not even just a little bit too much for them. I think the Bucks will have a good bit too much. I mean, I think the Bucks will win this fairly comfortably, which the Saints fans won't be happy with in their own stadium. All right. Next, two franchises where something just. Oh, sorry, go, Mikey.
All I was going to say is we've seen it in the trend, even with the games we've discussed now, but rookie QBs stepping up against NFL experienced DCs and coaches is a big step up. So again, that's where they've got to struggle. And if Kamara is back, then that's great for them because that is his outball. Similar what Caleb Williams didn't start when was vanilla to start with. That's what they need to do.
Yeah, perfect. All right. So as I was going to say, two franchises where there's just something going wrong somewhere within the franchises. Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni, who knows what's going on there. It just doesn't seem to be getting any better. The Eagles are not the team that their fans are hoping they were going to be this season. And surely it's just a matter of time before the Browns bench Watson for Jameis Winston. It's an interesting one. I mean, obviously this week the Browns will be happy to see that Brian, or resident Browns fan, that Nick Chubb's window for returning is open. So that's good news for them as well. Obviously, I think this will be too early for them this week, but that is getting a weapon back for them. So the Browns on offense are averaging 4.9 yards per pass, which is the worst in the league. That's for considering the wide receivers they've got. Tell me getting that is pretty poor. The Russians in the bottom five as well. For all the key stats for a Russian team with, I mean, they're not too bad running back. I mean, it's not Nick Chubb, but they've got options there that should be doing better. Something seriously needs to change in that offense. And for me and for Brian, Brian's been saying it since the start of the season, before the season even started. It's at QB. That is the change that needs to happen for them. If there's something just not right there. I mean, I think Stefanski needs to be big enough to stand up. The owners obviously they're paying Watson all this money, and people are saying they're not benching him because of the salary that they're paying him. Kevin Stefanski needs to just step up and say, do you know what? This isn't working. I need to change this quarterback. He needs to say enough is enough. Whether he does it or not is another question. But if he does, looking at the next three games, they're going to be 1-7. And it'll not be it'll not be Watson, it'll be getting punted, it'll be Stefanski. So he needs to make that decision for his own future, because if he doesn't, if they go to 1-7, there's no way they'll keep him as head coach, no matter what's going on. They just won't. So he needs to have a big look in the mirror and say, I'm a big boy, go pull my big boy pants, and I'm going to tell him that I'm benching Deshaun Watson. But will it happen? I don't know. but it needs to happen. The Eagles, I said at the start of the season that I do not know what is going on with the Eagles. The Eagles have all the weapons. I know they've had injuries, so Brown and Smith have both been injured, and I get that, but there's something not right in that team and in that franchise at all. And I think it's carried over from last season. The rumours of the relationship between Nick Sirianni and Julian Hurts breaking down, there's been no evidence of it, but there's clearly something within that locker room, within that franchise that is not right. Sarah, what's your thoughts? What's your thoughts on the Eagles first?
Yeah, I just don't get what's happened. I don't, even if it's obviously if it's a quarterback and a head coach kind of breakdown, I just don't understand how that then just makes them play like that. I don't get how that kind of mashup. It was the same thing with the Jackson. Everyone was saying that Doug and Trevor aren't pals anymore, and I was like, okay, but how does that then affect everybody else? I don't understand. I think just obviously as well I think the Eagles probably do have this in the bag, but I don't think it's anything to celebrate, if that makes sense. I think there's a load of work behind the scenes that still needs to carry on. Who knows? Who knows what's up in Philly?
Yeah. Kev, our resident crew, Eagles, he's with the comments. So he says, we'll get better as the season goes on with 2 new coordinators, 2 good wins against good teams already, which is fair point, but it's just like I said, there's just something going on there. I mean, obviously they beat the Packers and they beat 2 good teams, Kev. You beat the Saints. I wouldn't say that. And you beat them 15-12. That's not exactly. But they lost to the Falcons and they've lost to the Bucks. But next week's the big challenge for the Eagles. I think they should have enough to see off the Browns this week. I think the 3 of us could go up against the Browns this week and beat them. But the big challenge for them is the Giants next week, and then the Bengals after that. Mike, you come to yourself, this situation with the Browns obviously being in your division. What's your thoughts on the situation in Cleveland?
I'm just looking forward to getting one up on Brian because he was all golly at the start of the season. But I think the weird thing you mentioned it there about Stefanski and the coach, the sad thing is it's probably cheaper to fire the coach than it is to the quarterback for the Browns. They 100% they need to bench Watson because his play is not even anywhere near the Houston Watson that we've seen. And that's hurting them big style. When you look at the rushing and passing and they're in the kind of bottom halves of that comfortably, it's evident they're just not scoring enough points. And it's ridiculous considering they do have people there that are point scorers. Yeah. So coaching's maybe not the issue. It's just the quarterback play is killing them. Eagles defense has just dropped off a cliff compared to the Eagles defense that was challenging for Super Bowls and all that. But I think the Eagles offense is a bit more, can score more points readily than the Browns. So I think the Browns lose and go to 1-5 this week. Like you said, they fall down that hole, and then all of a sudden you're like 1-6, 1-7. Division games coming up. End of the month, the watch party, the crew watch party. The Ravens are playing the Browns that night, so it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks for the Browns, and they might be too late for that window to pull the trigger.
Yeah, I mean, the Browns' next 3 games, obviously got the Eagles, then they've got the Bengals, and then they've got the Ravens. They're going to be 1-7. There's no doubt about it. When that change happens, whether it's on the sideline or in the huddle, is going to be interesting to see going forward. So assuming we're all going.
The thing about that, though, is division games with Bengals and the Ravens.
So flip-flop.
I mean, the Ravens steamrollered everybody last year, and the 2 losses they had were against the Steelers in division. So it can just be a different type of thing in the AFC North. But yeah, the Browns are in a hole, and I'm glad that's not my team.
I mean, yeah, you're right. Divisional games can flip-flop, but this Browns team will just flop. It doesn't matter who they're playing the division; they're going to lose the division games as well. So I think we've all. I mean, as much as with Kev's telling me to take my Cowboys hat off when I'm talking about the Eagles here, Kev, I'm just being honest. I see problems in that franchise of yours, but they will have far too much for the Browns this week, and the Eagles will move forward with this one. So I think we're all on the right same page with that one. We shout out, we've got a new listener tonight, Bird Whisperer, who's a Rams fan in Scotland. Thanks for joining us. I think he says he's thankful we're not talking about them this week because they're on the bye week. So, but tune in next week with the Rams. We'll be back in the conversation. So thanks for joining us tonight. All right. Next, again, we have another divisional game. So we've got the 2 and 3 Colts at the 1 and 3 Titans. So two teams that are losing records. The Colts are banged up massively on offense. So looking at the injury report for this, I'm not seeing today's for the Colts yet, but Jonathan Taylor, Trey Sermon, and Josh Downs are all DNP yesterday. Michael Pittman's on IR. Richardson was limited practice yesterday. I don't know whether he's going to get back. Well, Joe Flacco's doing an all right job for them, but Will Levis back as a full participant for the Titans after coming off last week. So yeah, it's 2 divisional rivals for yourself. Can the Titans take advantage of this banged up Colts offense?
No, I don't think so. No, I was genuinely really surprised that after like the end of the season that no one took Joe Flacco, just in general, that everyone just kind of let him go. And I think again him coming back and playing against us last week really showed what he can do with pretty much nothing. He can still find a way to make something happen. I just don't. I think if the Titans lose this week, which I think they will, I think they're done for the year. I don't see them kind of moving forward. And I just don't think Will Levis is their guy, sadly. I just don't think he's the one.
Oh, no, Keith's going to be heartbroken. Keith is a massive Will Levis fan. He's going to be heartbroken at that one. Yeah, I mean, so the Titans would drop to 1 and 4. Like you say, that would probably be them done for the season this year. But Mikey, what's your thoughts on this one?
Two teams I actually despise, so can they both lose? So,
that'd be nice.
I mean, the only saving grace is that Joe Cool #elite is over there at Indy. I won't call them the other name because they're not. But yeah, I think the quarterback health, but Indy's defense has been so poor, it could really go either way. I don't know. It's Titans are looking like a shadow of the team that they were years ago. Just not really be competitive. So it's probably a rubber match for a lot of people unless you support one of the two teams.
I mean, I think looking at both teams, I think even with the injuries, the Colts should have too much for them. I mean, obviously they've got AD Mitchell, they've got Alec Pierce as well. So if they've not got Josh Downs, or they've not got, it probably means if they don't have a running back, that could be potentially the problem they might have. But I'm assuming one of them will start this week. But yeah, I think with Flacco leading that, Colts team is experienced enough to take a couple maybe rookies and unexperienced players and kind of lead them through a game. I think I'm going to take the Colts to win this one. Sarah, what about yourself?
I will also take the Colts to win this one.
And Mikey, let you have the final say on it.
Only because of Joe Flacco, I'm going Indianapolis.
I love the fact that you're sticking by that and not saying it. All right, again, we've got another divisional game. The divisional games just keep coming and just keep coming. So the 2 and 2 Chargers, who had their bye week, against the 3 and 2 Broncos. So this could be quite a fairly evenly game. The two teams are just plodding along this season. Chargers are coming off of 2 tough games. Broncos are on a 3-game winning streak, though. How do you see this one going, Mikey?
Oh, this is tasty for me because it's a 9:05 in it. It's a Sunday night kind of witching hour stuff that everything's kicked in. We've seen a load of the exciting games, but the fact that the Chargers are coming off a bye, obviously the Broncos, like you said, being on a 3-game win streak, it's got to be probably a battle of the running games. Broncos kind of up there. I think they're like 6th or 7th in rushing yards this year. So, and then the Chargers are basically, said it before, they're like Dobbins and Edwards and the West Coast Ravens. So coming off a bye, I think it's got to be tight, but see, because it's at home, I think the Broncos might squeak it. I think the Broncos' defense is slightly better as well, and I don't know why I think that because I've not really watched a lot of their games, but yeah, I think it'll be an interesting game just with the running attacks on both teams.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite interesting. I mean, obviously at the start of the season, nobody knew what was going to happen with the Chargers. They kind of cleaned house a wee bit in terms of offense, but Justin Herbert still has the weapons there. Like, his fitness season not been great so far this season in terms of keeping himself fit. He's getting through games, but is he fully fit? Joshua Palmer, Quentin Johnson, Lad McConkey's getting in the game with him as well this week's the season, Sarah. But are the Broncos going to continue their winning streak at the moment?
It's really interesting. These are two, like the Broncos and the Chargers are two teams that I've not really paid any mind to this year. I just don't know. I just don't think they've appeared very much. Like obviously I've been watching like Red Zone and stuff. I just don't feel like I've been taking them in. So I think just what you were saying there about Justin Herbert, I don't think he's 100%. I think there's something not quite right. I don't know if it's everything kind of all collapsing obviously during the off season and them changing a whole bunch of stuff, or what the situation is, but I think the Broncos are doing pretty well. I think they must be feeling quite good about themselves, just like Mikey was saying, they're at home. So I do think the Broncos might win this. Again, maybe it won't be that exciting. Maybe we'll just be just kind of moving up the field every so often just by rushing. But yeah, it might be an okay game, but I think the Broncos might actually have it.
Yeah, I mean, the Broncos obviously lost their first two games to Seattle and the Steelers, but then they beat the Bucks, the Jets, and the Raiders. I mean, we'll take the Raiders out of the equation, but the Bucks and the Jets is two good wins for a rookie quarterback. I mean, it was an Aaron Rodgers Jets and it was a Baker Mayfield Tampa, so it was two good wins that they picked up. Chargers, they won their first two against the Raiders in Carolina, which you probably expect, but then they lost to the Steelers and they lost to the Chiefs. So again, the two losses they've got, not the worst. I mean, it was 20 to 10 against the Steelers.
Yeah.
10 against the Chiefs. So it's not that they were blown out with these two teams either. So the Chargers are maybe just kind of sitting under the radar a bit, Mikey.
I think slightly, yeah, because Harbaugh's got them playing decent football, and by that I mean Justin Herbert's obviously been struggling. His stats show that compared to when he normally slings it. The team isn't set up for that anyway with the new offense, but it's one of them. They have had tough losses. What I would say about the Broncos, and probably why I would maybe edge the Chargers on this is, I think the Broncos beat the Raiders when was it Max Crosby and the guys were out, so they had a couple of injuries on the Raiders side. So the Broncos wins have came fortuitously, if you would like. I did say earlier that I thought they were in the top 7 or whatever rushing. I'm talking rubbish, so just shows my stats. I double checked it. I threw it out there and then I was like, yeah, I think I'm wrong. I mean, it's not quite Keith saying Isaiah Likely was a linebacker a couple of weeks ago, but yeah, it's up there. But I just think Chargers off a bye, work on some of the things, Herbert with a bit more health, all that sort of thing. It'll be decent, but it's been away to Broncos. See if it was at home, I'd be like, yeah, Chargers. But it's just anybody that's ever had to go and play in Denver, they all say it's one of their places. So I don't know.
Go on. Nail it. Who's won it, Mikey?
Just because it's Jim Harbaugh, I'll go with the Chargers.
Sarah, where's this one going for you?
I'll go Broncos.
Oh, anybody that's a regular listening to the show will know that I am a massive Justin Herbert fan. I just think he's a great quarterback. He's the best spiral in the league when you watch him throwing a pass. So I'm going to go Chargers as well. And what's going to happen now is Justin Herbert's not going to play. Right, I feel as if I'm repeat myself. We have another divisional game next. So we have the 3-2 Falcons going to the 1-4 Panthers. So Kirk Cousins last week upstaged Matt Ryan. It was Matt Ryan night, getting inducted into the Ring of Honor, and Kirk Cousins goes and breaks his record and throws for 509 yards in the one game. So yeah, what way do it? What about his wee dance after the game as well? So the Panthers are still a dumpster fire. They're not going to not be a dumpster fire this season. They are prime candidates for this number 1 pick. Dave Canales' seat must be getting a lot warmer. I think this the Falcons. The Falcons will win this. I think they should win it very easily as well. I mean, we all know what Kirk Cousins can do, and they seems to have just be starting to click a bit and get that chemistry and that bit of momentum going in Atlanta for him. And I mean, I love Kirk Cousins. He's a great quarterback. He's done well with the Vikings with the weapons. He's now got the weapons. The Falcons are free of Arthur Smith as well. So Bijan Robinson's been brought out the freezer and he's actually shown what he can do as well. And then Kyle Pitts has shown up the tight end that everybody thought he was going to be, starting to kind of show the glimpses of what is available for him there. Sarah, what's your thoughts on this one?
I think the Falcons should totally be fine. I think the most interesting thing to know about how all of obviously Kirk's passes last week was they were all inside the pocket. There was never one point that he was out on the run, kind of moving around. So the offensive line's holding up, which obviously was different, obviously, to what kind of was experiencing towards the tail end of his Vikings kind of time frame. So I think that he'll just continue to keep smashing it, I sort of guess. I just don't see the Panthers being able to stop it. I just don't see that the defense working well and doing anything about it. So this should be a no-brainer. I think they could just probably walk in, throw some passes, and I think they could take Kirk off probably at one point.
Yeah, get Michael Penix, and that would be interesting to see. The
story there.
But if Kirk Cousins lets him in, that's maybe the
but
question.
That's just what we're talking about with rookie kind of quarterbacks coming in. That's an opportunity to do it. If you think there's no stress and you'll be able to hold them down, I don't see why you wouldn't just put them in for a couple of plays and just give them a go.
Yeah, I mean, I think by the fourth quarter, the Falcons should be far enough out of sight that is a real possibility. Do you think, Mike, you think that's the right way to bring the rookie quarterback in?
It probably is, but remember the Falcons are notoriously bad for holding leads, so you never know.
You never know.
I would say I can't see this going anyway, apart from what you guys have said. Cousins is playing some of the best he's played. He looks like he's moved to a situation that suits him. And he has players around him that can open up the games. And I know you said about Kyle Pitts. I actually have him fantasy, and I've been disappointed with him this year. And I'm waiting for him to break out. So it'd be nice if he done it this weekend.
I had it last year. Yeah. It was the same situation. I just don't know what's going on with the Titans this year, and just in general, they're all kind of just bobbing along.
Yeah, I mean, I guess one's a straight. I'm not even going to ask you your predictions for this one. I think we know where this one's going. We don't even have to get into any great detail of it. All right, so next we have a Sunday night prime time football, and deservedly so, I will say. So with the 3-1 Lions travelling to my 3-2 Cowboys, the replay of last season's ineligible but not ineligible man downfield. I mean, going over referees' calls a year later, I mean, it's not something us Cowboys fans do. Is it really, Des Bryant? We wouldn't do that, would we, Des? No, we wouldn't. So the Lions, they look to be at full strength on offense. Our D is still very much banged up. Lawrence obviously on IR, Micah Parsons and Eric Kendrick still not practicing, but the run brand is back in his window for coming back in, so that's good news for us as well. Get him back in on the secondary. Very impressed with Damari and Overshawn. I think he's massively stepped up for us over the last couple of weeks, and he's been given that opportunity because of injuries, and he seems to be showing up for us as well. So this is going to be the biggest challenge for the Lions so far this season. I know they are 3-1, but this is a big challenge for them. Are we going to see the Lions team of last season standing up? I mean, they're averaging 4.7 yards per rush with 2 very good running backs, so they're not doing great on the ground. Amon-Ra's got 252 yards, which doesn't seem like a lot for a player of his quality at this point, but he's averaging 9.3 yards a catch. So every time he catches the ball, he's getting nearly a first down, which, yeah, if he only has 10 catches, then that's fine. As long as they all go for a first down, then that's enough for them. When I was looking at the stats for this one, I'd seen a bits of the Lions this week where Jameson Williams had shown up and thought, well, he's now their number 2 wide receiver. But I looked at his stats. He's averaging 22.2 yards a catch this season on 13 catches. That's not even that's ridiculous. He's got 289 yards on 13 catches, and that's maybe something the Lions have been missing was that secondary threat and that deep ball threat. I mean, Amon-Ra we know is an elite receiver, but Williams has given them that extra, that bit of pace and that deep ball threat as well for them. So I'm looking forward to seeing how our D steps up against it, because now we've got really two proper threats to have to deal with. Who are we going to put on? Obviously, we've got Trayvon Diggs. They're going to put him up with Amon-Ra. They're going to put him on Williams for deep threat. It's going to be interesting to see from our D point of view. In terms of our offense, we just haven't really got going this season yet. It was around about this time last year that CeeDee Lamb just suddenly decided to explode and start taking the game to himself and putting up stupid yards. So maybe he just would be waiting to this point last season to do the same, hopefully. But Jalen Tolbert was good to see last week that he stepped up. We needed that secondary receiver to kind of take control and give Dak a different option. But the run game, though, it's just appalling. 3.5 yards per rush, for second worst in the league. And the start of the season, we really need to address the running back situation, and we didn't do it. I mean, I know bringing Ezekiel Elliott back, but I said Ezekiel it was done when he left us the last time. He's now been out and come back again. He's not got better since he left us. We're now back in a situation where we need Dak to throw to win us the game, and we can't expect him to do that all season. I mean, Dak, I think Dak's a great quarterback, but as soon as you expect him to be throwing as many passes as we're having to do, he's going to make the mistakes. Just by law of average, he's going to make mistakes. There's going to be interceptions where he's throwing that amount of passes. So far this season, he's thrown an average of 38.8 passes a game. That's second in the league. That's a stupid amount of passes. You need your running, as we all know, you need a running game to complement your passing attack, and we just don't have that at the moment. And I can't see us winning games just on Dak Prescott. It's just not going to happen. It's impossible. I mean, he's 271 yards per game this season as well, which is second in the league as well. But I mean, I said it last week, for us to win the game, Dak was going to have to throw us the game and win it, and he did, but that can only last so far. And against a team like the Lions, Aiden Hutchinson basically bearing down on you in every single play, he's not going to get the time that he would have got in other games to do this. I mean, obviously I'm going to still pick us to win the game, but this is going to be tough for us, and I fear for us and also hope for us for at the same time. I mean, if we turn up, we can win the game, but if our running game doesn't turn up and Dak has to throw 40 passes, we're going to struggle. Mikey, what's your thoughts on this one?
A couple of things. I've seen how the Cowboys dealt with the rushing attack, and the Lions are rushing on their first down. They're rushing 30% of the time. Now they are, like you said, they have got like a small 4.7 yards per carry, but they actually, comparatively to the rest of the league, have ran quite a lot less. Now I don't know if that's because their pass-run ratio is heavy. I don't know what that's set like. So it depends on how well the Lions get the running game going. Jared Goff, if you get some pressure on him, I think he could get some joy there from the Cowboys defense. And the Cowboys defense are probably due some splash games, if you like, because for me, I always think they're up there, but they seem to have been quite muted this year. One thing I did see earlier in the week was a stat about Dak, and that it was a tight window throw open rate, and it was like, of all the quarterbacks and all that in the league, Dak Prescott's kind of down in the bottom left as one of the, like, he's got 0.1 kind of, for any QB that's had over 70 attempts, Dak Prescott's tight window throws are all the way down at kind of the bottom corner, which is just crazy because, like you said there, that works for so long, and then all of a sudden the tight window throws just get jumped on and picked off. So he has looked good. I really like him. He's looked good. And he's showing when you QB get that money what he's kind of worth. But I think Cowboys defense comes alive would be a good thing. And the Lions can struggle when the defense is like in a frenzy against them.
Yeah, just
I'd
looking
like to
at
see the Cowboys do better. Because they're just one of the.
Yeah. Just looking at the stats here, so the Lions are running passing roughly 50-50. just under 50% for run plays and just over 50% for pass plays. So
Right.
they're 11th in the league for their yards per rush, which is average. I mean, so yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Sarah, what's your thoughts on this one?
I'm really interested in it. I think, okay, I know I've said this earlier about the 49ers, but is it is it a must win for the Cowboys? Do they need it? Like, and do they need something to change in their offense to stop? Like, because again, like I'm just gonna reiterate, we were all saying, like, that can't throw that ball every single time and expect it to work out every single time. It's also just not really that fair, to be honest, on him, just to put that amount of. I mean, he's a quarterback in the NFL. He can take the pressure, but it's just not consistent. It's not good for him in terms of the fan base. The fan base then will start like jumping on him and being like, well, we've paid you all this money. So I think the offense needs to try and shake something up, need to try and get some kind of a run, even if it is just a yard, a two, just to give them some. And then at one point, they may find out they can break through that defensive line and just keep going straight. I have a soft spot for the Lions. I think we all have a little bit of a soft spot for the Lions. The cat teams have to stay together, as we say. And I really rate Jared Goff. I really like Amon-Ra Brown. I think he's fab. And I think just what you were saying about how they've finally managed to get that kind of external. They can throw the bomb passes and they can have somebody at the end that's going to catch it and it's going to travel that distance. So this game could really go either way. It just totally depends. If the Cowboys defense turns up, like Mikey was saying, I think the Cowboys should win it. Whether or not they do turn up, I don't really know. It's a hard one.
Yes. Where are you going though? Pick it. You can't sit the fence. Not allowed.
I'll say the Lions. I'll say the Lions.
I'll give you a chance to change your mind.
I'll still say the Lions. Again, cat. I'll play the fifth one. Cat teams. It's fine.
Yeah. I mean, like I think you say about this being must win for us. Looking at it, the division wise, like the NFC East, we know can either be all be a dumpster fire, or all be doing well at the same time. This season, it's kind of sitting middle of the road at the moment. If we were to lose and the Commanders were to win, we'd still only be 2 games back on the Commanders, who have got a tough run to come. So must win, maybe not yet, but as we should win and we have to win, but not need win. If that makes sense. Yeah. I mean, we have to win the game, but I don't think we need to win.
Yeah, it's not a must win in terms of if you don't win this, it's all over. It's a must win in terms of you have to start pulling the chase back on them.
Yeah, I think. No, I agree on you, Mikey. What's your prediction for this one then?
I'm going to give you a start that I don't think anybody's mentioned, but the Cowboys very rarely lose 2 games in a row at home. I cannot see them losing again at home and having like their losses being at home this season. So it's just not the Cowboys' way. I'm going with the Cowboys on this. I think, and as much as everybody loves the story of the Lions, and listen, I've got a couple of players in my fantasy. I like the Lions, but the Lions are one of these teams that often, for me, if they get punched in the mouth, they're like, oh, and they don't show. They seem to be good at beating a lot of the other teams. So I think the Cowboys are going to punch them in the mouth this weekend. So
I hope so. I hope it's a big hard punch in the mouth as well. So I mean, I like you said, Sarah, I think a lot of us have got soft spots for the Lions, and the crew, we are massive fans of Dan Campbell, but just not this week. All right, let's move on to Sunday Night Football. We have the 1-4 Bengals. 1-4 Bengals, really? Against the 2-3 Giants. So we spoke about it before we came on here. Are the Bengals the best ever 1-4 team? The Giants are now going on a tough run of games. So they've still got after this, they've got the Eagles, the Steelers, and the Commanders. So, I mean, the Giants have done okay this season. Like Neighbours is getting all the action for them. But the 1-4 Bengals, Sarah, what's going on there?
I have no idea. I can start talking about the Taylor brothers again if anybody wants me to. I don't know what's happening. But I just don't understand how, I mean, that game, like game against the Ravens was so close. Like I just can't believe that's how it turned out. I was like, of course. And then I think obviously, the snapper totally tilted the ball and that was it. Because when it kicked off, we were sort of like, how's Evan missed that like McPherson doesn't miss those kind of kicks. So I have no idea. It's all on that Bengals defense. I don't get what's happening. They're letting people run wild. They're not marking. They're not cornering. They're not doing anything. So yeah, I don't know, because Joey B is Joey B. Joe Burrow is Joe Burrow. How do you have one of the top stats as a quarterback so far and only be 1-4? I don't get it. So yeah, I'd love them to get them again. Cat team. I'd love them to get themselves together. It would be quite nice.
I mean, obviously, Mikey, you'll be watching the Bengals a bit closer than most this season. What's your thoughts? Are they really a 1-4 team?
They've kind of suffered the same as what the Ravens did, and the fixtures have been a bit. Like, there's a couple of teams out there that have got slightly inflated records because their fixtures have been easier. The Bengals have. I mean, look who the Bengals have played. Right, they've had tough losses. But the fundamental thing is they've blown leads. They've defense has not kept them in it. They, for some reason, they had the Ravens in their grasp at the weekend and went conservative in overtime, and it cost them. There's a little bit of a question for me on their coaching, as good as it has been. They just seem to be a bit strange with some of their coaching decisions, but and I think that's cost them some games because I really think that they're a better than 1-4 team. I'm delighted they're a 1-4 team. Hats off to their Canadian running back, because Stu smashed me on fantasy last weekend because he had pretty much the Bengals team. But yeah, I think the Ravens last weekend stopped them pretty much in the second half on their rushing, so they became linear in their passing, and the turnovers killed them. So I'm blaming Stu because he said that Joey B had no turnovers and all that, and then it was really a turnover that cost them the game. So I think the Bengals have got a run of games that should help them, and they should. I mean, I think there's a start where they could be 5-4 if they win the next kind of few games quite quickly. But yeah, I just there's something about the Giants for me it's weird. I don't know. They're one of these teams. I mean, that of the weekend blocking a field goal and Sexy Dexy sacking the Seahawks to win the game. It's like, I don't know. It's just something about the Giants that they're meant to be bad, but they just can't believe they're 2-3.
Yeah, as you mentioned, they're the Bengals' next 4 games. They've got the Giants, the Browns, the Eagles, and the Raiders. So they easily could be 5-4 by the end of that run. They then have got the Ravens again. So I mean, if they got into that game against the Ravens at 5-4, then I think they'd probably be happy at that point. In terms of the Giants, again, another NFC team, so I'm not going to back them too much. But I mean, they've obviously beat the Browns and they beat the Seahawks. So yeah, lost the Cowboys, Washington, Minnesota. So 3 games again they've lost. Probably expected to lose. Probably expected to beat the Browns. So the Seahawks one's the kind of one that kind of could have went either way with them. So their next run, though, they've got the Bengals, the Eagles, the Steelers, and the Commanders. So they could suddenly be from 2-3. They could lose the next 4 and suddenly be 2-7, which is probably where people probably expected the Giants to be heading. So I mean, Gav wouldn't be happy to hear us saying that, but this is the realistic situation where we're at. So yeah, Bengals are going 2-4 for me this week. Sarah, what about yourself?
I will also have Bengals to win this week.
And Mikey, can you back a divisional rival to win?
Yeah.
Wait, reluctantly, you got there in the end.
That's all excellent. I'm saying.
Or not saying. Excellent. So we finish up with Monday Night Football in the Meadowlands. So we've got the 3-2 Bills at the 2-3 Jets. So this week, General Manager Aaron Rodgers decided to sack Robert Saleh. Jeff Elbrick takes over as interim coach. Can the interim coach fire the Jets to a win, Mikey?
I think it really depends on I think they've made a offensive coordinator or play calling change today as well. So Hackett's been downgraded. So I don't know. There's just something with the Jets that I don't think a lot of people like, because there's a bad smell coming from them because of what's happening. I think Salah has been pretty good, and obviously them getting rid of him, because it's, again, similar to what I said earlier about the Browns. It's probably cheaper to get rid of Salah than what they were planning with Mr. Rodgers and co. They've got one of the teams, the Jets, that are better than. It's a better squad than it's shown out. But what I would say is Josh Allen has really struggled against the Jets throughout his kind of, and I don't know if this is the game where everything that's happened, I think the Jets will be up for it. They'll be out to prove a point and basically say, no, it was the right decision to make this move now and all that kind of thing. So, which I think is mental to be saying that Bills could be 3-3. But yeah.
Sarah, what's your thoughts on the Robert Salah situation? Was it right time to go? Is it a strange one?
I don't get how your quarterback can throw that many interceptions and then you go, yeah, okay, we'll fire the head coach. I just don't get how that. And it wasn't even, okay, I could see how he threw that. There was one point I was just like, why are you throwing that into a Vikings defender? You've literally just thrown that into his hands. I don't think it was the right decision. I don't know. I guess, I mean, I don't even think it's a case of that it was cheaper to fire him than firing Aaron Rodgers. I just think Aaron Rodgers just went, I don't like him, so you'll get rid of him. And he went, oh, okay then, no problem at all. So yeah, I don't think it was right to let him go. I don't like the way that he got let go. I don't like the whole, you can't say bye to anybody, you're just got escorted out the building. Nah, not for me. In terms of the Bills, I just can't. Josh Allen looked so good at the start of the season, then obviously we went to, like, Jacksonville went to them and got absolutely thrashed, annihilated. And it just seemed like he just used all his Josh Allen energy at the one time and then went, yeah, don't you do this anymore? Obviously, it was a close game against the Texans. I don't think it was Josh Allen's fault that they lost last week. I think that was the play calling. I don't know why they were trying to throw the ball, just run the ball down the field if you've got that much time and that much timeouts. But yeah, and just like Mike was saying, he struggles with against the Jets, and maybe the Jets do have something to prove. Maybe Aaron Rodgers remembers how to play football this week. That would be nice. I think this one could be either way.
I mean, Josh Allen came out today and said he's having trouble getting on the same page as his catchers, and obviously with what happened last week when banging his head and coming back on and all the kind of smelling salts at the side and everything, there's a bit of a health thing there that you're probably asking the question. But I don't know. The Bills for so long looked like a great kind of flying team in that, but they've had uncharacteristic losses this year, and they look like a team that's trying to find themselves slightly. And it's weird because I remember watching the previews, and I'm pretty sure the Bills guy on the preview was like, "Yeah, we're going to be the worst record," and it was like, and everybody was like, "No way."
No way.
But he obviously knew better than a lot of us.
Yeah. All right. So where are we going with this one then, Sarah?
I mean, I'll say the Jets, I guess, but I don't want them to win. But I'll say the Jets.
Mikey?
I am going to just for an AFC East, because the Bills are sitting top of the division. I'm going to say the Jets will win to just mix it all up.
I am going to go with the Bills. I tipped Josh Allen to be MVP at the start of the season. I'm still sticking by that, purely just because I'm stubborn. But yeah, I think I'm going to go with the Bills on this one as well. So that we'll see how that one goes. So a couple of talking points that will come out of this game, and then we'll go back to the Steelers and the Raiders because I completely missed it. So we'll do a couple of talking points coming out of this game. Something the crew have been going on about for the last year is the Bills Super Bowl window. The current state of the Super Bowl window for the Bills, Sarah, is the window open? Is the window slightly ajar, or do you think the Super Bowl window is gone?
I think I feel like the door is like literally just about to close, and I just don't think they'll get it again. And I always think like the Bills are again like a Super Bowl or bust team, and I don't think it's happening this year. No.
Mikey?
I don't think it's shut, but I think the injuries means it's not this year. They're just missing too many key players on defense that even if they come back, they would need more than a type of Ray Lewis injury return and come back for them to be challenging. I just can't see it. They'll get into playoffs because obviously their division is as weak as some of the other ones, but I think the window is maybe it's like a couple of teams like Miami and 49ers, and a couple of them are sitting on that kind of edge. They're still the most talented team, I think, that in that division, despite Miami being in it, just purely because they've got some players on it. And Josh Allen is the star QB for me, regardless of who's in that division. But yeah, I think I wouldn't be surprised if the Bills win this weekend, but I'm going to go with the Jets.
All right. In terms of the Jets, then, can I set you a wee challenge before we came on here tonight? So, Jets head coach, give me some names that are not Bill Belichick. Sarah, give me a name. Who's the next Jets head coach going to be, and why?
Can I say Aaron Rodgers? Nah, I'm just kidding.
he's everything.
He's everything. He's just gonna do everything. He'll be just running about the field, going back and forth, put his headset on. No, I'm actually going to say Mike Vrabel. I think he is probably the best. I mean, if I don't really know. I personally don't think I would pick Belichick anyway to be a head coach. I think we're moving past that era of football. We need to kind of move on. Literally, he was 54-45 as a Titans head coach. Always a strong defense, always a pretty good strong offense, even considering who he had at quarterback. Whatever, it was never really an issue for them. And I think that obviously he's taking a season away, obviously just to kind of reposition himself. He's consulting with the Browns. I mean, I don't know what consulting's doing with the Browns right now, but I just think he's kind of got that. I think the organisation maybe needs that old school approach, and I think they need a strong character to go up against Aaron Rodgers, and I think he could probably do that personally. So he would be my pick for who I would suggest they go for.
Mikey, what about yourself?
See, I'm a wee bit torn here because there's a certain Tennessee old head coach that's sitting as a kind of over in the Browns just helping out called Mike Vrabel. I'd love to see like him go to the Jets and just be a bit hard-nosed with him, but I just don't think it'll work with Rodgers and co. I think we could maybe see the likes of Clint Kubiak or somebody like that going. Somebody that could be molded, if you like. I don't know. I'm not really overly sure, but I mean, Kubiak's had a pretty decent run in some of the positions he's been in and some good players. I think you could maybe be there. And maybe the other one, you could maybe see like a Cliff Kingsbury or somebody like that. Like somebody that's not in a head coach, but could maybe see the New York lights and think, yeah, that could be good. But as long as they stay away from Todd Monken, I'm happy.
Don't you, Sarah?
No, it's actually interesting because the top suggested pick is actually Ben Johnson.
Oh, that's where I'm going. That's where I was going. He obviously turned in a couple of jobs last season. I'm a lot interested in him last season, but I think like Mikey kind of nailed it. The bright lights of New York is very appetising. I mean, they've got a good team there for me to go into as well. Got a good situation where I think this is one where Ben Johnson could be tempted by the Jets. I mean, New York does seem to be one of those places where people would just want to go and coach. There's a lot of pressure involved there. He does seem to have the respect of the players in Detroit, so he potentially has got that where he can go to New York and be authoritative and, like you said, stand up against Aaron Rodgers. But it's probably going to be Aaron Rodgers' last season potentially anyway, so you kind of see that out. But the question for me is going to be when? Are they going to give up in the season and out and just kind of bring him back? Are they going to go to the Lions now? We want Ben Johnson now. That'll be an interesting thing to see whether that happens or not. And what? Sorry, make it just 2 seconds. What we say is, what are the Lions going to want to get for Ben Johnson? Because he's going to be highly sought after. So the Lions are going to want something reasonable to get him. Sorry, Mikey, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say exactly that. What does that do to the Lions if Ben Johnson goes? So that's not something that you go, all right, Ben Johnson, and as much as he might, obviously there's the compensation each ways. I look at it in the sense that if the Jets don't do it now, is Rodgers playing next year? What is the window? What are we doing? Like, because there's a lot of talent there that's like, what is the plan with them? So I think the Jets have to do something this season, which for me means that they're probably going to overpay for somebody. And Ben Johnson may be that guy, but it's what would that then do to, because Ben Johnson's been linked a couple of times to other teams and not went and stuck with his guns with Detroit. It would be interesting if New York is the place that then finally lures him.
I just don't know what the Jets have to offer him, like to offer the Lions as an organisation to take him away. I just don't get what they could be like. Yeah, you can have this, and this. I don't see it, which is why I'm more on the Mike camp, because I think that's easier to pull him from a consulting role than a
100%. I mean, the Jets, if they need to go down, I'm not meaning it by disrespectful, but down the cheap route of not having to offer anything, then I might be able is exactly the angle that you go down, because there's going to be basically nothing there for them to have to pay to get him in. But if you want to go and get someone who is a DC or an OC at the moment, then you're going to have to pay for that. Especially if you're going to want someone who is performing well, then you're going to have to stump up the bucks and the picks to get them. So yeah, be interested to see how this one plays out. But Bill Belichick's free as well. Don't have to pay anything.
Worth noting though, the Dolphins are on a dumpster fire just now. So Brian Flores is sitting there that could be lured. So he's maybe an outside, and but we shall wait and see.
Yeah, Brian Flores was another name that I'd read mentioned as well. It was not like being linked, but an option. There's a couple of them. You got Moncton, Vrabel, Belichick. Obviously, his name's always going to come up. Ben Johnson, and then I've completely forgot his name. The Lions DC as well was linked as well as another. I completely forgot his name. Anyway, yeah, been interested to see how that one plays out. Right, let's quickly rewind. We've got a couple of minutes left and go back to do the Steelers and the Raiders, because somehow I've completely missed it. I don't know how I did it, but we did. It's the nature of live
we
TV.
Don't talk about Steelers.
So the 3-2 Steelers against the 2-3 Raiders. Sarah, I think I tagged you on this one. Raiders have announced that Aidan O'Connell's starting this week for them. Steelers' number one QB position is Justin Fields to lose now, would you say?
There's obviously they announced it on Monday Night Football that they thought that it was going to be Russell Wilson starting for them, but who actually really knows what they're doing? Because obviously both these teams are coming off quite a bad loss last week, and I think the vibe in the Raiders camp obviously isn't very good, because Devontae Adams might as well be standing on top of the strap, being like, "Somebody please take me out of this! Like, I don't want to be here anymore." I don't think it's as bad as a situation as putting Aiden in as some other kind of obviously younger quarterbacks coming in. We're just kind of really assessing talent. I don't really think that Minshew's done anything wrong. It's a weird thing. The Steelers' defense usually is pretty strong. I think they maybe will have the edge on this week, which I don't particularly like. But who knows? Who knows for this one either?
The Raiders flip-flop with quarterbacks last season as well. They just don't seem to just know what they're doing at quarterback. I mean, Antonio Pierce is big Gavs. He's got him in the coaching Deadpool. Who's going to go next? He thinks it will be Antonio Pierce. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one. Like, I think as much as Russell Wilson was QB1 at the start of the season, I think Justin Fields has done enough to be like, well, really, you're going to drop me now? I think to drop Justin Fields now would be very unfair. I think we're now starting to see a bit of the Justin Fields that we've seen for a wee bit in Chicago there. He actually is a good quarterback, and he can do it if you're giving him the option. So I've been saying for years, Russell Wilson's done. He's been done before he left Seattle. He was completely done in Denver. He's not got any better going there, I think. But they did sign him as QB1, and they did say he would be QB1 at the start of the season. But Mike Tomlin's a strong enough character to say, well, do you know what, actually, Justin Fields is doing all right here. We're going to keep him in. Mikey, obviously, Steelers in your division. Seen a good bit of my season. What's your thoughts on the QB situation in Pittsburgh?
The QB set, I think Fields has won that job. I'm loving Russell Wilson being the John Terry in the full kit and the sideline. Love it. I just think it's great. But I think Fields has got Tomlin in the Tomlin's for me is there's a few Ravens fans who I'll not mention their names that have said to me in the last few days that if the Ravens had Tomlin, they would have won more Super Bowls than Harbaugh has. He'll know who it is, what I'm talking about when he hears this.
Shame.
Tomlin's just that good. Tomlin's just that good a coach that I think he's managed it well. Fields is doing what he needs to do, and fundamentally, I mean, Pittsburgh are winning games. They're 3-2 because they've got a defense that, no matter what, is just evolves. It just keeps them in that games. So he just needs to do enough. Some of their wide receivers, Steelers through the years have always been this machine that just churns out good wide receivers. They seem to be struggling slightly, but they've got Pat Firemouth, haven't they? So he just bulldozes people. So I think Pittsburgh will win, but I wouldn't be surprised if, with the Raiders being under pressure and some of the players, Max Crosby and all that, being back, it could be an interesting one. So we'll wait and see. I think the Las Vegas QB situation is as bad as some of the other teams in the league as well, and that could be a lot of decent turnover for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Sarah, you agreeing with that? Are you going against that?
No, I will agree that it'll probably be. I think the Steelers should win it. I just don't see the Raiders maybe doing it. But yeah, I fully would agree. I think Russell Wilson going, just to come back to the quarterback situation, I think Russell Wilson going to the Steelers was such an odd choice anyway, because I wouldn't have put him with somebody like Justin Fields. I would have put him with a younger quarterback, because the whole point is that you learn and you develop the new talent. So, but yeah, feelings aside, I'll go for the Steelers.
I think what's happened there, the Steelers went and took Russell Wilson and thought, we've got a QB1, we've got him, and then suddenly Justin Fields became available, and they thought, we can't not get him now. I think it was one of those situations where like, what do we do here? I think they're like, well, we can't not take Justin Fields, so we've got Russell Wilson there. But yeah, and they're now in that situation where Wilson's got injured and Fields has stepped in. And like I said at the start, I think he deserves to keep that position now, but we'll see how the politics of that one play out. Yeah, full clean sweep for me. I'm going with the Steelers on this one as well. So sorry, Steelers fans, you had to wait to the very end to hear about your team. Raiders fans, same, but you probably weren't really that bothered anyway. Right, folks, thanks very much for joining us tonight, Sarah and Mikey. It's always good to have you guys on. Sarah, we'll get you back again. Love chatting to you. We love having you on, so we'll get you back. We'll get you back soon if that's all right with you.
Of course it is. Again, hopefully I don't have to rant about the Taylor brothers anymore. That'd be nice.
Yeah. Oh, but then you come back next time, both might be gone. So maybe all right.
Oh, literally. I think Zach Taylor's one that could be gone as well. Just talking about head coaches getting bumped.
Yeah, even Stu, the Bengals fan, is predicting that.
Yep, same here. Like, which would be sad to see him
go.
What about Press Taylor? If he doesn't go this year,
Press Taylor to the Jets.
I mean, they can. Do you know what? See, if they want him, they can have him. I'll let that happen. They can take Doug too if they want at this rate. I'm okay with it. Do they want everybody? Do they want the whole Jaguars franchise? Please take them. It's fine. Take them at the morning.
Excellent, Mikey. Glad to have you on again. It's always good to chat ball with you.
Yes, always good. Good getting like Sarah and different perspectives as well on is great. So yeah, apologies for my interruptions tonight and all that sort of nonsense that I've had. So
not a problem at all.
Always
folks, remember, Crew watch party 27th October. Get on our social media, get your free tickets here. Come and join us for a bit of chat, a bit of beers and a bit of NFL. It's always a good way to spend your Sunday night. And get along on Sunday to support the Scotland Under-19s with myself and Gavin on commentary. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to all social media to see what we've got coming next. We've got a few big things in the pipeline. So I'll speak until next week, which will be Monday night for the Review Crew. Get my words out there, the Review Crew. Until then, enjoy your weekend, and the Crew will see you through.